Welcome back, everyone. Last time we talked about how we could use Firefly APIs together with Power Automate to create content at scale. And we did a demonstration about how do we use OpenAuth and to exchange a Firefly token using the Firefly client ID and client secret. Right. So today we are going to continuing on and start to make our first Firefly API call, right? And to do this, we would um, follow what is described in this diagram here. So on the left-hand side is our Power Automate application, and on the right-hand side is the Adobe backend services. So as as just explained, we and indeed that was what we did last time. We exchanged the ID and the secret through an HTTP request to the authorization server. The authorization server generates a token for us, right? And what we are going to do is to use this token to make the first Firefly API call. The use case is like this. Imagine that we have an Excel spreadsheet that is sitting online. The Excel spreadsheet has a list of text prompt that we want to read. And what we're going to do is to grab the text prompt as data and package it as the HTTP request alongside with the token and send it to the Firefly services. The API will make this a text to image call and generate these images dynamically for us. And it will generate as many images as there are in the Excel spreadsheet text prompt. Right? The result will be sent back for online storage. In this case, it could be a OneDrive. Right? So that's what we are going to do. And so let's turn it over to Power Automate. So this is the flow that we did last time. Again, if you forgot how it was done, you could always refer back to the previous video. But effectively, what we did is that we grabbed the Firefly client ID and client secret. Again, this is if you have the Firefly API license there. Just to reiterate that this is not a free service and is a paid for service. So but if you've got the license there, then Adobe will issue you with the client ID and secret, right? And using these information, we pass the HTTP request to the authorization server, and the authorization server return the token, and then we pass the JSON and store the token as a variable there. Right? So that's what we did last time. Right? What we're going to do now is to continuing on our next step, which is to read the Excel spreadsheet. Right? To do this, we are going to add a new action, and we'll type in Excel. So Excel online, and you could I think this one would do. There are actually lots of actions that is in Excel online, right? You could delete a row, get a row, etc., etc. But what we want is actually this one: list rows present in a table. So click that, right? And once we add this action, then all we need is to pass on the parameters there. So you ask us, where is the Excel table? Now, obviously, when you use your table, it will be a different location there, right? So, but the main thing is that you just need to find out where that location is, which file, which table are we using, right? So in my case, I have the Excel that are stored in Microsoft Teams, and let me show you what it looks like, the table. Right? This is table, and it's only got one column one, and within column one there's 5 rows of record about text prompts that we want to use. Okay, all right. So I'm going to point to where there is. there's this Microsoft Teams group, and then there's this we want to go to the documents of the group, and then the file is here. So there's the group name, the document folder, and the document library, and then the folder structure. And this is the Excel spreadsheet that we want, right? And in this Excel spreadsheet, you could have multiple tables, but for me, I've only got one table with one column, right? So this is it. So this action in itself would access that data within the Excel spreadsheet, right? With this done, then let's get to business now. We are going to call the Firefly text to image API because we have the text prompt. We want to use the text to image API to generate the images there. Now, if you need some reference, you could always go back to the Firefly developer guide. And last time we explained that this is very useful guide. The overview give you some basic understandings there, and then the quick start. Indeed, this is what we did last time. We referenced some of the information there when we make the call to get the access token, right? But today we are going to call the APIs, and at the moment they are upload, generate images, expand, and fill image there for APIs there. Now over time that list will expand. Indeed, as we speak today, Firefly is already got this version 3 model in beta, right? The documentation here is still based on whatever there is officially available, right? And as you can see, it is text to generate images. It is version 2, as you can see here, version 2, right? Version 3 is in beta, so by the time when you watch this video, it might well be version 3. So it might be updated, so it might look a little bit different to what we are seeing here, but what I'm showing you today, the concept remains the same. So what you want to do is to look at, use it as a reference. It tells you, for example, it tells you the header information that you need to pass in. You need to pass in the XAPI key, which is a client ID that you need to send. You need to access the token, you need the authorization, and that is a bearer that you want to put in the access token, and then the request body as well. So the request body has things that are mandatory, like the text prompt, and everything else is optional, right? But look, the list might differs by the time when we have the version 3. So the things that could be different will be, apart from these parameters, the request body will be different. It's also the endpoint, the URL. So where is the URL that we are going to make the HTTP call? Is this one. Today we are going to use this URL, which I copy. As you can see, it's version 2. So it might be different when you watch this video. The URL will be different there, right? So along with the prompt, right? But well, we'll use this for now. So I copy it, and then I'll go to use that to make the HTTP call, right? So I'm going to add an HTTP request. And this is the one, HTTP, right? So like last time, exactly the same one that we are using, right? Because it's really, all these REST is really just an HTTP call. Right? So might just label it as a text to image, so that is for easier reference. Right? So the endpoint to call this URL is this one, version 2. The method is post. The header, remember we need the XAPI key. This is going to, the XAPI key is going to get from the client ID. So I'm going to refer to this client ID. and then the authorization. Yeah, so something is important is about typo, right? So make sure that there's no typo error and make sure that it is American spelling as well. So we are going to pass the token that we grabbed from the previous call. Right? So what else? Let's just continue, right? So go back to the reference there, right? So what we need is to pass this information as well, right? This is an JSON, so we need to put that as a content type, put that in, right? Together with these information that needs to come as an JSON object. Now, if you don't want to manually construct the JSON object, you could always copy on the right-hand side here. So there's this sample, kind of like sample JSON files that we could use, right? So I'm just going to copy it. And it has a prompt. All those is explained, all these parameters, the definition are explained on the right-hand side, so on the left-hand side. And anyway, version 3 will be a little bit different as well. But anyway, I'm going to just copy it here. So go to Power Automate. So the content type. So we're going to put in some application JSON, right? And then the parameters is going to be part of the body, and I'm just going to Control V paste it like what we have put in there, right? So now all these, as I said before, the one thing that is mandatory is the prompt. Everything else is mandatory. That means that and there are some default settings as well. If you don't specify, you'll just do default to some, right? So for example, if I don't want any of those, right? So maybe I don't care about the styles, the reference image. We don't have any reference image or intensity, etc., right? I could just hit the delete key. I don't need that, right? And photo settings, right? Maybe aperture, shutter speed, field of view. This will affect what the image is going to look like, right? Or width and size. I think up to 2K is a maximum, right? Seeds is about how this randomization of the is too complex, right? to explain. Anyway, we don't really need that. Maybe I'll just delete it there. So it's about the algorithm, how it's going to generate new images there. But now the n is the number of variation. When you put in a text prompt, Firefly will let you generate up to 4 images per text prompt for variations there, right? If I just don't need all 4 images, I just need 1 per text prompt. I'll just put n equals to 1. And you could have a content class. Maybe I want to output as photo or art. You could specify it, right? And I just use photo and negative prompt, etc., right? So we don't need negative prompt here. So I'm just going to maybe delete this one. Now, the prompt, text prompt, we are going to hard code the text prompt. Why? Because we want to get the text prompt from the Excel spreadsheet. This is why we've got this action earlier, right? So I'm going to delete, press the delete key in place of the hard-coded text string. I'm going to replace it with the dynamic data that is from the previous step. List rows presented in the table. In particular, I want to look into the column. So column 1, find out those that text prompt. Right. What you might notice is that as soon as I select column 1, something happened on the right-hand side here. The flow automatically is wrapped in a loop. The reason why it's wrapped in a loop is because there are 5 rows of data. And what Power Automate automatically will do is that it will loop through for every single row. Is going to generate an image. Once it's done, it go to the next row, generate the second image, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, right? So it's so good that Power Automate automatically create this for loop for us. We don't even have to manually do it, right? So it's really, really handy, right? So I think that would do. Now, I might save it, and we'll just save it. Will dot dot dot, and then it's saving. When it's done, then you said the flow is ready to go. We recommend you test it. So, of course, I follow the recommendation. Click test, and select menu. We're going to trigger it and click the test and run. Done. So well, that's it, right? So you see that well, the green tick kind of like tells you that is working, passing through the steps. So that looks like that we got the tokens, and it read the Excel table, and then it's going to loop. Now this will be take longer because it's going to generate the images one by one, right? So what you want to do is to just be patient, let it loop through. If it works well, then it should give us green tick, and then we know that the calling is working well. If it's not green tick, if it's something like an exclamation mark or anything like that, then it will give you some error message, and that's where you could do some troubleshooting there, right? But green tick, so that's a good sign, right? And indeed, if I just now click on this particular action, and on the right hand side, so left hand side, it shows me in particular I want to look at is the output, right? So from this action, what do we get, right? So the status code 200, wonderful, right? And it tells me that in particular I want to look at the body. So it's got something like version size. Remember 2K is what we specified, and the output as well. So there is things that are interesting there. It output image with a precise URL. So that is good, right? So with the precise URL. And indeed, if I just copy this URL, right, and open a new browser window, paste the URL, you see that it's actually generated the image, and the image is stored in this URL, right? So this is working well, working very well, I got to say, right? Now, so that's good, right? And then if I go to second image, so you see for loop, so this is 1 of 5. If I go to, because Power Automate is doing a loop, so if I go to second image, then again, it will generate a new set of URL, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, etc., right? So it's working very well. Now, what we really need to do is that well, we know that the images are generated, but it's now generated into this JSON file. So what we want is to put the image into our online storage like OneDrive, right? And to do this, well, we can't just copy this text string because it's really JSON objects there. So I might just what I need to do is to parse this JSON object so that I could isolate, read the URL in particular, that I can then put that into the into our OneDrive, right? So to do this, remember that the best way to parse JSON file is to, first of all, just randomly copy one output. So doesn't matter whether we are looking at the number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or number 1, right? We just want this format of the JSON. Just hit this button, which what it does is that you copy the code. And what I need to do is that go back to the edit mode, because at the moment it's showing me the test mode, right? So you see a green tick there. I copy the JSON result, and I need to go back to the edit mode so that we could continue to edit our flow. So what we need, what we need is to what we need. Don't know why it switched back, right? So what we need now is to add an action, right? Because what do we want to do? We want to parse the result. So I'm just going to call this action parse JSON. So there's this data operation parse JSON. We'll use that one. And let's just give it a better name. We call it parse. How about parse image URL? Oh no, let's just call this parse text to image. Right, I think that's a better description, right? So we are going to pass this description, pass this JSON file, right? Now, where do we get it from? We are going to get the content from the output of this HTTP Firefly text to image action. So the dynamic content is we are going to get it through the body. Remember the output. Now the schema, remember that we, just like last time, right? We don't want to manually construct the schema. This is why we copy the output in the previous step. So I'm just going to use sample payload, and I'm going to paste one of the payload. As I said, doesn't matter whether it's sample payload is from version 2, from the second image or third image or the first image, doesn't matter, they're all the same, right? We only want it to read the structure. The structure is that there will be version size, and in particular is the pre-signed URL, which is the URL where we want, right? And I'm just click done. And so that's about it, right? Now that hopefully this action will let us read the URL, right? Once we are able to read the URL, then I want to put this image based on the URL into our online storage, which for our case will be OneDrive. So I'm going to go to add a new action and select OneDrive. So there's this OneDrive there. Again, there are many actions that we want. Actually, the one that I want is just this one, upload file from URL. Because remember, we've got the URL, so all we need is to use that URL and upload it there, right? Now, the OneDrive action, there are a lot more than just upload, right? Indeed, if I click see more, you see that you could actually do a lot with this OneDrive action there. But anyway, we just need to upload the file from URL. And the URL, where is the URL, right? And then where do we put it there, right? The URL is, remember that the URL, we get it through this parse action there. So I'm just going to go to this the previous step, and it has something like body pre-signed URL. Oh, by the way, if you wonder what this URL of the image, why is it called pre-signed URL? We would explain a little bit more in subsequent video tutorials there. But what it really means is that when Firefly generate the image, is put this image into this specific URL. This specific URL is really specific in the sense that there is an expiry. So it will put the image in this URL where you could access it, but it is going to, this URL in itself is time expired. So we could look back at that URL string. It would give you some expiry, and you'll be able to find out how long it stays. I think it's a day or so. I don't know. There's some sort of expiry there. So it's number one, it's not going to sit forever, and number two, that this presented URL, as you saw, I just copy and paste in the browser window, and it showed me the image there. So it doesn't need to sign in order to access the image. There's some, so this presented URL is quite you need, right? Specific there, right? Anyway, I'm just going to put it there. So please sign the URL. And then the destination. Oh, by the way, you see, suddenly there is another loop. Now, why is there another loop? Simply because that with Firefly text to image, there in by default, it will just generate the images and store the images URL into an array. This is an array simply because that Firefly can generate 1 to up to 4 images there. So whether you select 1 or select 4, these URLs will be packaged in an array, and Firefly will use this array and upload it to the OneDrive. Now, in our case, the array has only one element because n is equals to 1. We generate 1 image per text prompt, right? But it's still a loop. But even though it's a loop, it is really just 1 image in this array. But imagine if it is n equals to 4 in the previous step there, then it will generate 4 images there, and you upload 4 images into OneDrive, right? So this is why you see the loop here, right? Now, the second thing is about the destination. So where do we is in OneDrive, right? So where in the OneDrive do you want to put in, right? Now, in my case, I have this is my OneDrive directory there. So I've got my files, and then I've created a folder called demo. So I want all the images to sit in this demo folder, right? So what I need is to say that I want to put into demo folder, just like that, right? And that becomes a destination path, right? Now, obviously, this is my demonstration environment there. If you want to try out on your own, you might just you can store it anywhere you like. Or you could use it in OneDrive, and then you could define folder structure in your OneDrive as well, and then you just put it there, right? Now, putting in the destination file path, you need to say put in the folder path, but then you also need to give the file name. So every images that is going to copy into OneDrive needs to be given a file name, because Firefly only generates the images. There's no file name associated with this image. It will be up to you to give this image a name. And I don't want to hard code this to be image, right? Because multiple images, you need to have a different name as well. So it's entirely up to you on how you want to name your file. Just make sure that they are unique, right? Now, in my case, I'm just going to use the text prompt as the name, because every image get a text prompt. I want to use the text prompt as an image name. So I'm just going to use the dynamic data. And where do we have the text prompt? I think we have this in here, right? Remember the column 1, every row under column 1, there's a text prompt. I want to use that text prompt in each of the row in column 1 as a file name. So I could just select that, right? And so that becomes the file name with an extension because Firefly generate JPEG. So I'm just going to put JPEG as an extension there, right? So lastly, I might just say overwrite. Yes, that means that because I'll be doing demo, right, a lot, and I'll generate it and then test it again. Literal overwrite means that if there's the file already there with the same name, it's going to replace it with the newer version, right? So that's it, right? So I think that would do it. Let's do it one more time and save it. So again, ... let it save it, and when it's ready, we could now test the flow, right? So click test, menu, we're going to trigger it right before, like before, and click run. Done. So just like previously, I think the first few step is super quick, right? Getting token, reading a table is easy. Now it's going to generate images one by one would be slightly longer than the previous step there, obviously, because not only does it need to generate the image one by one, it also need to upload it one by one as well, right? So just give it a little bit more time. Sometimes we just need to be patient. But the thing I always do is that I always like to monitor the progress as well. You want to see that, number one, you want to see the green tick. Even if it's not green tick, if it's an error, I want to look into where the error is so that you could do your troubleshooting. So let's just see whether it's good. So it is all take, right? So 55 seconds altogether. Again, you could see that you one by one, and you could see that whether it's got uploaded as well. So it's you want to look into the body, whether there is the description, the body is there, and whether it's got upload, right? So the location, right? So looks quite good, right? Let's go back to our OneDrive folder, right? So this is OneDrive folder. Let's just do a refresh. Here it is, right? So you could now see that all these images has just been uploaded less than a minute ago, right? With the file name that's based on the description, right? And if you click on any of these image, and it shows you that this image is now uploaded into the OneDrive, just like that, right? And then you go to the next one, the previous one, etc., etc. Right. So just like this, we've demonstrate how you could let's just go back here, right? So we demonstrate how, in this case, we use the token. We demonstrate how we use Power Automate to read the Excel file. We use Power Automate to send it as a request to the Firefly with the token, with the Excel data, and Firefly generated the images, and that we upload it to the OneDrive, just like this, right? So I hope this give you a sense about how you can actually use Firefly APIs to automate the process with Power Automate, right? So next time we will, in the next tutorial, we'll go a bit further into the API calls and share a few more tips and techniques as well. So for now, I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and look forward to see you again next time.